the triple GP5. Some of these I think are fairly common bans, but a lot of them actually aren't. We don't see Vayne banned too often. Of course, a notable AD carry, but still not banned that much. Same with Malzahar. We do see Malzahars here and there, but not banned as much. It's usually more so if they know of certain summoners or whatnot. It's more of a targeted ban. People usually fear other champions, such as Kassadin, who are just globally accepted as stronger champions.
And seeing Amumu picked up for the first pick here, Amumu, a really popular tank in this particular game mode. Actually, I guess overall, Amumu's good. He's durable. He does percent damage with his AoE, and that percent damage is really important with these sort of durable and delay meta that Dominion has going for it. Just keep Amumu alive for a while. He'll slowly wither down the other team. He makes a great tower defender because everything he's got is an AoE for the most part, Bandage Toss. His ultimate's a very wide radius AoE. Same with the Tantrum is not. It's got a tighter radius, but you can machine gun that out if you get a little bit of minion aggro, and really kick up the DPS with that. And Despair does damage. It's percentage. It's an AoE. It's great. Durable little guy. His initiation's great. I think Bandage Toss is a nice, swift moving skill shot. It's a lot easier to aim than Blitzcrank's Rocket Grab or Leona's Zenith Blade, I think. So it's really friendly to try and aim. Now, on the other side, we're seeing a Wukong and a Diana being picked. Wukong is a great champion. His burst is good. His armor reduction is great. I think that's one of the best things about him is how well he synchronizes with other AD champions that might be put on his team. And Diana just does a ton of damage. She can output a lot. She's got a really good gap closer with her Lunar Rush being able to use in conjunction with her Crescent Strike, Moon Slash,
Yes,
Laser
Strike.
Beams, Crescent Strike. Okay, I couldn't remember. Sorry, guys. There's 515 abilities in the game, so there's a couple I don't remember off the top of my head. And we see a lot of Diana bottom lane. We don't see a lot of Diana top lane, so she could go either way. I feel like she's going to have more of a bottom lane presence. And Joby, you want to take it from here for a second?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're looking at some more picks coming out. We have Pantheon and Maokai coming out. Pantheon has always been a strong choice, not necessarily up there in permaban pick status, but definitely has a ton to offer. Of course, Semi-Global Ultimate is a very, very notable ability on the Crystal Scar with that smaller map and kind of your map presence being so much more important in terms of defending and taking towers. So not only is that great, he has a stun and it's a targeted ability. It's not a skill shot, so that's really, really helpful. It's a guaranteed stun as long as you have vision, and he just does overall really good damage. And of course, Frozen Heart is a popular item on the Crystal Scar, and that has a lot of armor, but the big part about that is the attack speed debuff, which doesn't affect AD casters like Pantheon as much, so it's kind of better than having a right clicker, as we might say. Maokai, of course, is excellent. On top of a Mumu, that's a lot of AoE, that's a lot of tankiness, really good disruption. They are lacking a little bit in the damage department so far. We'll see what their last two picks are. We're looking at a Kayle being highlighted for Epic Fail, but I think Maokai and Mumu working together. Of course, they can build some AP to add to that, and if you live longer, in the end, you're going to be doing more damage anyway. So it's a little bit debatable, and we are looking at Kayle and Olaf being highlighted. Olaf doing tons of damage with that true damage especially, and then as we mentioned, Pantheon also very good damage dealer. Kayle can do good damage, but also very good utility with that ultimate and also the heal and speed buff on top of that. On the other side, so far we've also seen Leona and Nasus being added on. Two champions we don't see that often here on the Crystal Scar as of yet, at least on the Dominion tournament setting. I'm actually, curious as to why Leona wasn't used that much before. Of course, has a lot to offer, has some good long-range disruption, AoE disruption on top of that, and of course has decent damage too. And in a team fight setting, the Sunlight procs are really helpful coming up from her passive, adds that extra damage. So we'll see how she fares with the rest of the team. Nasus, definitely not a champion you see that often, mostly because standardly you play him kind of like an AD bruiser, but it's really more about farming up his Q, and that usually takes time. That's why he used to be played top lane on Summoner's Rift so much in the past when it was more passive play. He's kind of fallen off, I feel like, on all three maps, but people have been able to work around it, really just kind of building other items on top of that. The Sheen and to Triforce is still really effective. just because you can use it in conjunction with your Q, and then on Siphoning Strike, and then of course on top of that, you could possibly play MAP, not as reliable, but it is doable. And then we're looking at Nocturne being the last pick, another really good initiator, but some unique picks here, not ones we're used to seeing all the time on Dominate Dominion.
Yeah, the Leona seems to be a little popular in the upper end of competition on Europe West server. There's a player over there that's known for playing her, and you've got it right. She's got a lot of disruptions. She seems to bring a lot to the table, but it's always felt like Leona's damage has been a little bit slow and a little bit avoidable too. And I think that's where the limitation comes in. I'm not completely sure about it, but it feels like that once her, sort of initial ability sequence has been thrown down, that she kind of struggles a little as the fight goes on, and seems to just she gets in a lot of auto attack damage, she gets those sunlight procs, but she's really not doing a lot of ability damage. Now, with a lot of cooldown reduction, that's still useful, but it just feels like that she suffers from what other champions this game mode suffer, is that there's someone else that can do the job but better. It's not that Leon is necessarily bad, it's just people that excel at it more than she does. Let's look at her, a champion that's similar to her, which is Amumu, who also has the I go from out of the fight to into the fight and I have AoE damage. And Amumu's damage is a lot higher, and it's a lot easier to apply than Leona's is. Now, Leona does have a targeted stun that she can use on characters, but that can be hard to deploy sometimes when you get mixed up in a team fight.
That is true. I mean, it's kind of the same situation with Lee Sin, right? A lot of people, when they first enter, they're like, "Well, Lee Sin's super mobile. He does really good damage. Why don't we see him that often?" It's not as reliable. It's the whole concept of, is it a lot of skill shots, and are they single target AOE, things like that, the range. A lot of these things come into play. Same on any map, really. A lot of people. That's why you see the same champions used a lot of times in the more high tier competition, because people don't want to risk things unless they have really honed it down. Which is why, for instance, in terms of Summoner's Rift, you see Rise being played all the time. Why? Because his crowd control is reliable. It's a single target snare, things like that. Maokai, that's why he's so good. You just target them, go Twisted Advance, and they are now rooted. And then you can deploy your slow, which also has a little bit of a knockback. Very, very good synergy in his own kit. So we will see, of course, if they specialize in playing champions like Lee Sin or Leona, though, they can be devastating. So I'm pretty excited to see how that plays in. I would say in this setting so far, I have to give it to Epic Fail just because they seem to have a bit of a stronger team fight, just because their initiation is a lot more guaranteed. It's stronger, and they can chain it a lot better. And they're a little bit tankier too, in my opinion, with the skill sets, and also, of course, just base stats from Amumu and Maokai. So we'll see how that plays in.
The other thing that I'm really interested to see that you mentioned was Nasus being picked, and Nasus is a champion that I feel is a little bit underexplored in Dominion. The last time that we saw a Nasus play, I believe it was Infeed versus Sauron bottom lane, Infeed with Nasus and Sauron with Jax, and he really shut down Jax pretty hard with it because of Wither. And in that particular game, we saw Nasus go 1 point in the Siphoning Strike. We saw him power up Spirit Fire first for the wave clearing and the armor reduction, and then go for Wither, and then go for Siphoning Strike afterward. And I think that synchronizes really well if you want to do a bottom lane with Nasus, because Spirit Fire will reduce their armor. Wukong can come in Crushing Blow for more armor reduction on top of that. You can drop Wither on the target to make it harder for them to retreat. And I think it's really good for setting up bottom lane ganks. And I don't know, I feel like it can pay off, but I feel it works better against attack damage based champions. And if we're going to see something like Olaf or Kayle bottom, or I don't know, we might see Maokai bottom, I feel like it wouldn't be very effective against Maokai. It could be effective against Kayle, and it wouldn't be effective against Olaf because Olaf deals true damage, and Maokai is ability based and has really long range, so he's not going to get anywhere where he could get withered to get harassed like that, I don't think. And I think it worked great on Kayle. That's if we see Kayle bottom. I mean, we can see any of those three champions bottom.
Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility in both teams right here, so I'm pretty interested to see. I am kind of excited if Nasus goes bottom. I'm excited to see Diana going top just because I feel like she's great bottom, she's a great dueler, and she does have some good wave clear, but at the same time, she's so good in team fights, mostly because of her crowd control, Moonfall being that huge AoE kind of. I guess it's you could consider it a knockback, but really you're pulling them in, you're sucking them in towards your target, and you kind of keep them all together, similar to Command Shockwave from Orianna. So should be pretty fun to watch. I do think Nasus is going to be going bottom, as they've positioned themselves so far. But let's introduce the teams once again. This is Chobra and one of your casters. We're looking at the blue team right now on the screen. That's Epic Veil. It's gonna be Rebel Dragon on Maokai, slightly off on Pantheon, Rageous on Amumu, Tiger Melt on Kale, with that darn dude on Olaf. And who do we have on the other side, Gander?
On the other side, triple GP5s. We have Romantic Jaguar playing as Wukong, Bloodstone playing as Diana, Gormern playing as Leona, Blesmek playing as Nasus, and Veni13 playing as Nocturne.
Alright, we just have a little bit left on the wait here as we go into the match. Also wanted to point out before we start, there are a couple summary spells we're not used to seeing that often. We do see Ignite and a couple more Exhaust, but it's fairly still common. I mean, Ignite we do see now and then, especially if they're going to kind of act as the killer for the team, or the Slayer, as you might say. They want to take that, they want to just jump in, put out as much damage as possible, and Pantheon is definitely pretty well suited for that. Otherwise, good exhaust on both teams. Starting items also fairly standard. A lot of prospector items, some good health to start, and of course a lot of boots and pots. We are going to see a standard start with 4 people heading towards the top eventually as they capture the middle towers. We're going to see Nocturne get to the top tower first, and here they are going to start the poke war, as it always happens to be.
I got that spec client bug thing, so I'll be back in a second.
We are going to see Leona prepping that Eclipse and jumps in with that Zenith Blade, gets a stun onto Olaf. Olaf's going to have to back up a little bit. We do see Diana also jumping up. Amumu has taken a lot of damage already, but he's not going to be the first to go down as Wukong takes too much true damage coming for Olaf, but Olaf was surrounded by 3 people. Triple damage is never a good thing. Exhaust on Pantheon. Is that going to save Nocturne? Not good enough, but Pantheon also going to go down. It's left to a 2v1. Diana running a little bit low, and Kale is going to take off that kill. Kale's going to be able to delay Leona long enough for sure, as Amumu comes up and joins Kale before Wukong's going to actually reach her, but a great bandage toss saving Kale as she returns to a health relic. Is she going to come straight back to the fight or go back to base? She is going to come back. Her revive is still up. Everybody else has used their revive already other than Leona herself. Crisis Strike hitting from Diana. A lot of action still going down. Wukong is going right behind the enemy lines to try to get Kale out of the tower range. She does succeed in that mission, but Pantheon's going to chase him off. Meanwhile, Amumu was taking way too much damage from triple gold for 5 as he was zoning for the team. Everyone running really low. It's really going to come down to who is going to stay alive, as all of the revives have been used other than Leona Kale. Once again, it's still 2 people on Epic Veil dueling Wukong to the very end. I'm actually very surprised Wukong was the last one alive on triple gold for 5, but even with that low health, Kale and Pantheon from Epic Veil will be able to capture the windmill finally for the blue team. And we are going to see Leona come right back up to start challenging against that. Pantheon's really low, but he wants to get the disruption, and oh man, the Zenith Blade hits over the corner. Great catch by Gorman. The ultimate was a little bit preemptive. I think Gorman thought Pantheon was going to jump straight away. Pantheon just wanted to get the disruption though, so he delayed for a little bit. Tower's still going to be neutralized up here at the windmill, but that darn dude and Rageous are up here. They're going to try to zone out Leona as Olaf starts channeling, but Romantic Jaguar is back, and so is all of triple gold for 5. Look at that initiation coming out from Wukong on top of Crystal's Hand Mummy. They don't care that they've all been rooted down by Amumu. He jumps right back in with Nimbus Strike to pick up the kill as Nocturne picks up another kill onto that darn dude. Tiger Melt's now being chased away by Bloodstone and Gorman, as we see Veni13 and Romantic Jaguar capturing the windmill for triple gold for 5. Meanwhile, bottom lane, let's check it out. There's been so much action up top at the windmill. Kind of forgotten about these poor guys down here, Blesmek and Rebel Dragon. It looks like Rebel Dragon's been pushing up quite well, but both of them are somewhat low. Rebel Dragon much lower, of course, so he's not going to be looking for a fight just yet. They're just playing it safe. Let's look at Blesmek's let's look at his skill order. He is going for Siphoning Strike first and just a point in the other 2 skills. We'll see how that works out for him. We are looking at Maokai jumping up just to advance, taking a lot of damage. There's a Wither. Is Blesmek going to chase? No, he just wants to farm up. I think he's going to try to farm as much as possible onto that Siphoning Strike. We're seeing that darn dude come back up top, and Benny13 is on the sidelines, ready to disrupt. He gets the first delay down. Gorman gets caught by Rageous and Tiger Melts though, but Romantic Jagger diving in once again. Wukong being very fearless so far, and I think that's working out well for triple gold for 5. Slightly off is forced back off despite having that Storm Shadow. Rageous is way caught out of place from away from his teammates, but it's okay as he runs away, and Slightly Off actually gets a really good stun onto Bloodstone, takes a lot of damage. Diana's gonna have to retreat with that health pot running, and triple gold for 5 still has a defensive position up at the windmill, but they're getting a little bit dangerous right now. Rageous is starting to regen his health. Are they going to dive the tower? We'll have to see. We do have one garrison up for Epic Vale. The other one's down at bottom lane, so we'll see if Rageous wants to dive with that garrison on the tower. There isn't a good minion wave yet though, so they're definitely going to have to wait for that. We want to have the minion pressure on. Rageous taking a lot of damage still from the poke coming out, especially from Diana's Crescent Strike. That darn dude trying to make sure the enemy minion wave gets clear so that they have a good opportunity. Another defensive garrison gets popped onto the windmill. It's going to go back to full health quite soon here. Gets recharged really fast with that defensive garrison. Really good use. They know they're being sieged, so rather than, kind of use it as a desperation move at the end, they just want to make sure that the tower goes back to good health so that the enemy team has to reconsider their ideas. Meanwhile, Pantheon's going to go for a gank in bot lane, but it's a little bit too ahead. Blesmic's going to have time to run away, but he's now caught in the corner. There's a twisted advance. There's the stun. There's a lot of damage coming out. He does use his ult, but is that going to be enough? Fury of the Sands, is it going to keep him alive? I don't think so. By now, just trying to focus on the tower. Rebel Dragon's out of mana, though. They need to get it down, and they do get the kill onto Blesmic. Need to get out of that AoE. Rebel Dragon running a little bit dangerous. Blesmic comes back with the revive, though. He's going to save the tower. Is he going to pick up some kills? Maybe even. No, he wants to make sure the minion wave gets cleared, and now he gets stunned and rooted. Once again, it's a 2v1. Rebel Dragon takes too much damage from the towers, though. Blesmic picks up the kill. Now he's down for the chase. He knows Slightly Off is low on health and mana, and he's going to give up the chase. Meanwhile, top, we do see that Wukong ran very low. No, he's actually down bottom. Top, they're just pushing up, but Wukong barely makes it out with a great decoy as the bandage toss comes out. Very, very well played by Romantic Jaguar. Benny13, meanwhile, gets caught as he was trying to save his teammates. Rageous and Rebel Dragon now trying to chase through. Benny13 running pretty low. Rageous is getting that DOT on, but it's not going to be enough. Nocturne is a little bit too fast for the Sad Mummy, so we're going to see Epic Fail run towards the bottom here. They want to get this Boneyard, and Blesmic is cornered by Slightly Off. Slightly Off really just trying to keep him zoned, but Benny13 comes back in with Nocturne on that ultimate long-range initiation. Great play by Benny13, and they're actually going to pick up another kill here, and Rebel Dragon's still alive. The Rageous is also still alive. Gorman misses the ultimate. Rageous is still alive in the brush. Rebel Dragon also running into the brush. That's a little bit dangerous because that's going to draw Leona right into the brush. I'm not sure that was the best play by Rebel Dragon, but they're just trying to delay as possible. The tower is neutralized right now, but there's a double kill for Gorman with Zenith Blade, both of them, so very, very well played by Leona. We are going to see Gorman now re-channeling onto the Boneyard, kind of bring back some peace to the map. Everyone back at base buying. We are seeing some good items being purchased. Rod of Ages has been finished for a little bit by Maokai. We do see that Brutalizer on Pantheon, very key item. Otherwise, Amumu went straight for the Haunting, guys, so going for that early AP and MP, going for that damage. It also offers a little bit of health. And of course, Amumu has some good defensive stats, especially from Tantrum. So that's a pretty good pickup, I would say, if they want to go aggressive. Rageous actually dives right in with that bandage toss, and Benny13 tries to come back in with the spell shield, but it gets popped before the Curse of the Sad Mummy. Romantic Jagger takes way too much damage. He's also been exhausted. His ultimate not doing too much damage, but Gorman comes in for the save. Full health, doing so much damage and disruption. Diana able to run around, putting out good damage. Rageous is still going to be alive. Rageous, once again, is he going to get out? No, Gorman's going to help, with the help of the minions, pick up that kill. Dat darn dude now trying to run away, but the minions are too strong. Minions always making big plays here on the Crystal Scar, and Gorman once again the savior for triple gold per 5. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Rebel Dragon low once again. It's just not looking too good for him. I mean, Blesmic on Nasus has really good sustain because of his passive, and then he also picked up an Executioner's Calling right away. Really good lifesteal item, great for sustain, and also has a pretty good active if you're going to duel. So I would say very, very good pickup, very situational, but that's a good call in my opinion by Blesmic. Meanwhile, top, Benny13 just scouting out from this Tri-Brush here. Looks at Amumu going up top. We do have Gorman there at full health, so Gorman's going to be able to delay for a while. Great Zenith Blade right at the edge, going to disrupt Rageous, makes him take some tower damage. Same thing with Tiger Melts, and then rejoined by Benny13 and the rest of triple gold for 5. Once again, triple gold for 5 in a siege position up at the windmill, but is going down pretty well. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Nasus picks up a kill onto Pantheon. Rebel Dragon now comes up top here to assist Epic Fail. They're going for the swap. They're running out of ideas. They want to siege at least one or another tower. They haven't had much success. Can they do it this time with 2 tanks in the lineup here at the Windmill? We'll have to see. Maokai did put down his ultimate, the Maelstrom, which does help a lot. I mean, it's not going to mitigate the tower damage, but it's going to mitigate a ton of the enemy champion's damage. So we'll see how that plays through. It's still going, but he's draining mana, and I don't know if it's going to be enough. And we do see Gorman just waiting. They put the defensive garrison on, and Rebel Dragon goes in. He goes in with Twist of Advance, but he's out of mana after the Arcane Smash. There's a Kayle ultimate, a little bit of a desperation move just to save Maokai, and look at the massacre coming up from Triple Gold for 5. They instantly murk everyone on the Epic Fail, and now Rebel Dragon just has to run away, not even going to make it because of that Crescent Strike, followed by Nocturne coming up for the kill. Great play by Triple Gold for 5, very patient, and I'm very impressed by their use of the defensive garrisons just to extend their life and kind of, play that patience game, make the enemy have to go for a desperation dive up at the Windmill. Meanwhile, bottom lane was still slightly off on Pantheon, going up against Blesmix Nasus. But Nasus at this point, he's already so content. Look at that, he's putting out so much damage, and he's lifestealing so much that he could care less about what Slightly Off does. He also has the Glacial Shroud for the armor. He has a Sheen for extra damage. It's just not looking too good for Slightly Off. So they do bring down Rages for Rages. The Bandage Toss is going to be blocked by a minion. Blesmix takes a decent amount of damage. He does need to run. He puts down the Wither, and he's going to get back into tower regen. There, he's going to be able to sustain back with that lifesteal. Brings him back up to half health with his passive, and then here's the decoy Romantic Jaguar. Can they jump on Slightly Off? Tries to put down the Executioner's Calling active on there to make sure he doesn't heal up. Great Chrysalis Mummy by Rages, so he's going to sacrifice his life. Is it worth it? No. Plasmic actually survives because of his Fury of the Sands ultimate, giving him that extra health. Meanwhile, top Gorman is alone against Tiger Melts and Rebel Dragon, and that darn dude is coming back too. Gorman gets 1 kill. Can he get another? The tower is on his side, but it's not good enough. That darn dude lives with only 10 health, escapes tower range, and then comes back for the channel to overtake the Windmill. Can Nocturne come in? He did use his ultimate just now, Paranoia, and then he's gonna get the disruption onto Rebel Dragon. Good spell shield, blocking the Twisted Advance, picks up 1 kill. That darn dude picks up the health relic, but there's a Yuma's Ghostblade popped by Benny 13. Can he go for the chase? Wukong's actually come in to help with some extra damage, and of course Benny 13 gonna pick up the kill. So Triple Gold for 5 once again taking back the Windmill. No, maybe not. Rages and Tiger Melts are here. Romantic Jaguar trying to distract as long as possible. Look at Rages taking way too much damage. He focused on the early damage, and it's not working out for him. A great cyclone by Romantic Jaguar after they guarantee the kill to keep Tiger Melts there. Gives the shutdown to Tiger Melts, but it's not a problem because Benny 13 comes out with a double in that case. And I want to talk about Amumu's build. He focused on that early damage and then went for the Negatron Cloak. Now he finally has a Sunfire, going to be able to block out that damage from Nocturne and Wukong, but until now, until this death, it really wasn't working out for him. Bottom lane Slightly Off is just going to have to back off. I mean, no one's been able to challenge this Nasus here with that Executioner's Calling. Meanwhile, top Gorman takes a decent amount of damage, but Benny 13 comes in at full health. Bloodstone's still alive. That shield doing so much utility for this. Diana's still alive with that exhaust. Tiger Melt's trying to come, maybe get a pick off, but going to back off. Doesn't want to get greedy and risk their life for just 1 kill on Dominion. It's all about map presence and kind of pressuring those towers, so you don't want to just go for 1-for-1 kills. It's not always worth it. Great scene play by Gorman, and Gorman is so tanky already. Look at the items. We have an Aegis of the Legion, we have the Glacial Shroud, we have a Kindle Gem, and then a Dorn Shield, and on top of that you put out Eclipse, and that's a ton of defensive stats on that Leona. Another decoy Romantic Jaguar comes in with the Storm Shield, so much damage on Slightly Off. Another Desperation kill, Ultimate Intervention coming up, but there's the Cyclone to guarantee the kill, and a double kill going out for Bloodstone on Diana. Diana also starting to look really scary, going for that Bruiser build with that Rylai's, and now going for the Measly Large Rod. We'll see if that's going to turn to Zhonya's or just a straight up Death Cap. The Rylai's also already doing really good defensive work for Diana. We're going to see, it's just Benny 13 in the lane pushing down against the Refinery, but the other 3 members from top for Triple Gold for 5 hiding out in this brush. They're looking for a pickoff, and they're going to get it. Tiger Melts is going to walk into their brush. There's the Zenith Blade, there's Crescent, and then the Moonfall. No chance to do any damage or abilities by Kayle to escape from that situation. Great play by Triple Gold for 5, really good setup, and now they just have full control of that Moose Speed Shrine. They don't even care about going for the refinery. They had this 3-cap for so long that they're confident, and meanwhile bottom Blesmek's holding his ground against Rebel Dragon. Pantheon's coming down. Can he survive the 2v1 once again? Not sure. Triple Gold for 5. Still playing really patient up at top. Meanwhile, Slightly Off finally comes in. There's the stun. Can Rebel Dragon get the Twisted Advance? He's gonna follow up afterwards. Great patience by Rebel Dragon, but the slow was already used, so Blesmek's gonna get away to his tower. Are they going to dive? He's gonna go in. Does he have his ultimate? No, Nasus is finally gonna get shut down, but Nocturne coming in with the semi-global ultimate on Paranoia, and now followed by Bloodstone. This is not a good position for Slightly Off. Actually, Slightly Off gets the kill, but Bloodstone at full health. This is no contest. Easy kill for Bloodstone. Double kill. Meanwhile, that actually left the rest of Triple Gold for 5 a little bit vulnerable, so we do see Rageous picking up a kill onto Romantic Jaguar, and Gorman running away to the windmill. But Gorman at full health, I think he should have no problem delaying this until the rest of his team joins him. We do see the Eclipse being popped, and then we're gonna see the Zenith Blade. Can he also disrupt Tiger Melts? He's going up for the melee. He's just going back and forth bouncing, but the other team is doing a really good job. But there's a defensive garrison, and it's delayed just long enough. Bloodstone and Romantic Jaguar come in for so much AoE damage. The Cyclone is still going, despite being rooted or snared, whatever it might be, by Amumu's ultimate. So great play, triple kill for Bloodstone in that engagement. Triple Gold for 5, just looking way too strong right now. You see that darn dude trying to push up against the windmill, but at this point I would say Epic fail. They're running out of options. I mean, bottom lane now, Nasus is so strong that he's confident to push. Look at that damage coming up from the Siphoning Strike. He doesn't really care that he took some tower damage. I mean, we do see Amumu coming in, but he's going to spot him. He's going to run away. I mean, he can sustain off this minion if he needs to. Look at that lifesteal. Just so much sustain. Slightly off, not nearly as much sustain. Barely any, really. Just has that Vam Scepter on top of the Prospector's Blade. So they're just trying to push as much as they can against the Boneyard here, but I think Blesmek's going to be able to guard it on his own. Slightly off, can't really dive that comfortably right now. There's Executioner's Calling active, the Grievous Wound, and there's the Wither, and that's just going to force Slightly Off to run away, but look at the damage going down to Rageous. Rageous also coming out really low. I mean, Blesmek took a lot of damage too, but he still has a tower advantage right now. Up at top, meanwhile, we have a full-on team fight. Everybody running really low, and good active by Rebel Dragon. It's actually just because his mana ran out, but still gets a double kill with his Maelstrom. Meanwhile, the intervention is out. It's gonna give KO just enough time to pick up the kill onto Bloodstone, and then Tiger Melts actually picks up a double kill to boot. That's gonna give Epic failed the windmill finally, but at bottom they had to sacrifice Amumu and Slightly Off. Blesmek comes out on top, and look at his health. He's pretty much back at full health already. Nasus, way too strong right now, has that Frozen Heart, has Trinity Force, on top of the Executioner's Calling. Who can touch this guy? I'm not so sure. Pantheon's coming in with the man drop, but is it going to be enough? The damage isn't there, but here's going to be the stun. The Bandage Toss misses, and Blesmek just says, I will wither you and run away. And yep, they're just not going to be able to touch him. There's a Spear Toss, but can Rageous get another Bandage Toss? The minion wave is there, so Blesmek weaving in and out. They're still chasing him, but it's not going to be good enough. And once again, he's back at his tower. He has the defender's advantage. Meanwhile, on top, that left Kayle all alone. And we do see Rebel Dragon coming in, but that left Tiger Melts completely open to be dueled by Romantic Jaguar. There's a quick kill. There's the Maelstrom by Rebel Dragon, though, putting down a lot of defensive assistance to his team. But there's the Romantic Jaguar Cyclone going down onto both that darn dude and Rebel Dragon. Nocturne does finally get taken down, though. Gorman trying to do everything he can, but he's the only tanky one, it seems, now on Triple Gold for 5. That darn dude is sustaining through, just basic attacking against Gorman. Not good enough in the end. Now it's a battle between tanks. It's pretty much who can live longer, and we're going to see Gorman back off. Rebel Dragon's going to go ahead and try to get rid of the minion wave, but also channel onto the windmill. His Maelstrom's still going. He's going to run out of mana soon. There he goes. He quits it. He knows he's ahead right now. Gorman much lower, and there's another sapling. That's going to be some good damage. There's Eclipse coming up from Gorman, though. Good defense stats, and the Zenith Blade just juke out of the brush, and he denies the Twisted Advance. Great getaway by Gorman. He did have to give up the tower, but I would say great play. He's just going to see if he can disrupt this. He's going to try to jump in once again, and he does get the ult, but the tower is still neutral, and we see Benny 13 coming in with the Paranoia, but there's the intervention from Kayle. I don't think that was the best move right there. Sapling going to do so much damage. Kayle, just one more hit, picks up the kill. Can Epic fail bring a comeback? They are holding on so strong onto the windmill, and they have realized that everyone on Triple Gold for 5 is not as tanky as they seem. It's really just been Gorman and, of course, Blesmek with his sustain. And we're gonna see Rageous duel Blesmek, and just look at this damage coming out. I mean, he gets hit, but look at the sustain. Blesmek barely losing any health you know, overall in this duel. Meanwhile, Rage is just running away, hightailing it with only 900 health left, and Blesmek goes back to bringing back full health through that new, fresh minion wave. Meanwhile, we do see a duel or skirmish going down here on the left side of the map. Rebel Dragon gets caught a little bit, and Romantic Jagger is just going to scout it out, but they're going to sandwich Rebel Dragon with Vinny 13. There is the fear tether. It's going to proc, but he already put down his Maelstrom. Is it going to be enough? No, he's going to go down. Mandra coming in. Do they want to get this kill? Great decoy by Romantic Jagger. Runs to the brush and then comes back for the next kill. Really, really good plays coming out from Triple Gold Revive. We see Rebel Dragon came back from spawn with that revive. Romantic Jagger decides to start dueling him, and then Bloodstone gets the Moonfall. So much damage. There's the exhaust onto Rebel Dragon. He's done for with that fear. Great catches, and then Rages gets caught by Blesmek's Wither. It doesn't matter that he used Curse of Zan Mummy because there's so much damage coming out. They were right next to each other melee range anyway. Quick kills in succession by Triple Gold for 5. They still have the 3 cap because they were able to get the quarry, and I think this might be a game we're gonna have to see Epic fail going for one last defense and then try to overtake one of these towers, but all of them are so far away from them other than the quarry. But we have Nasus and Diana here at the quarry. They're gonna be able to sustain, I think, just long enough to delay this game. Blesmek going to start tanking a little bit first. We do see Rebel Dragon actually channeling though, and we're gonna see Benny 13 come in, but Bloodstone has already left the scene, so Benny 13 is now left all alone. The tower has been neutralized, clock has been stopped, Bloodstone's running away. A little bit of miscommunication, I think, but Romantic Jagger going for the refinery. I'm gonna be met by Tiger Mouse. Are they gonna go for the duel? Romantic Jagger gets exhausted, the good decoy from the brush, going for the Mooseby Shrine. Gonna have to run away, trying to join his teammates, and it's because Gorman was able to channel onto the windmill. They're gonna get this tower, and I think that's going to be game for a round 1. Tigerman gets caught by 4 people. That's the kill even with that intervention. There's the Cyclone to guarantee that no one runs away. That darn dude comes in. Rebel Dragon comes in. Rageous is also jumping in, but there's not enough time on the clock. And the first victory of the night is going to go to Triple Gold for 5 on the red team. Congratulations. You guys will be moving on to the next round of Dominate Dominion number 30.